Congratulations, Uconn.
Better shooting range.
There's the pass to Leitner. Puts it up.
With Archie Diacono. 3 seconds at midcourt. Gives it to Jenkins for the championship. Have not won. Davis. Close out his rock. Close out. Got that quick. Look at this center.
Seed himself up 13 points and complete command.
With the Joe Cole sneaking up.
Well, Hurley and the Huskies have their dreams come true yet again. Thank you, Jim Nance, for the call in that particular video, and welcome everybody to a very special edition of the MI6 and IM6 Sports Network March Madness Extravaganza. This is going to be the final edition of this March Madness Extravaganza here for 2024, as March Madness has officially concluded, with the Uconn Huskies repeating as back-to-back national champions. Congratulations to Dan Hurley and the Uconn Huskies for winning another national title. What an achievement, what an accomplishment, what a team. I mean, this team was just like a tidal wave, right? Like, no team could really get close. Even if when you get close, they would just barrel through you. They were just a complete team, and congratulations to Uconn, man. For winning the national title. They win the game against Purdue 90-75, despite Zach Edey doing everything that he could possibly do to keep his team in the game. It was just too little, too late for the Purdue Boilermakers. Before we get into the show, just wanted to do some quick housekeeping stuff. You know, if you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, feel free to type it in the comments section. And also feel free to share this video everywhere. You know, we want to get a bunch of views on this particular program. If you guys want to hop on the show, if you want to be on the show, just talk some college hoops, talk about this game with me, feel free to message me or comment down below, and I'll be able to send you the link as we go along. It's going to be a very short show. We're just going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about Dan Hurley's legacy. We're going to talk about you know, the tournament in general, and then we're going to just talk about John Calipari and the latest situation there at Kentucky, and if he's going to Arkansas or not, and who Kentucky will replace John Calipari with. But let's start off with the game. I mean, first of all, I want to give a quick shout out to my guy Ben Cruz. Ben, if you want to hop on, feel free to do so, man. Ben says, let's go. We did it, man. So happy for you, Ben. I know that you're probably partying hard right now. Ben says he is so happy. I mean, what a game, what a team, and crazy, man. The 6th championship for Uconn. Congratulations to Uconn, back-to-back national titles. First team, I believe, to do that since Florida, the Florida Gators with Billy Donovan and Joakim Noah and those guys. Ben also says dynasty, definitely. I mean, they're definitely looking like a dynasty for sure. And, you know, we've never had a college basketball, like, dynasty, you know, ever since like the late Duke teams. I mean, the late 90s Duke teams, they were a dynasty, but when you look at this tournament, 64 teams are in, so it's not very easy to have a dynasty, and for UConn to be doing what they're doing is truly spectacular, and it's amazing. Ben also says it feels amazing to be a Connecticut resident. Definitely, man. Congratulations to Connecticut. And then Christy Wilson, thanks for tuning in, Christy. She says congratulations to UConn. Absolutely, congratulations to UConn. But let's get into the game. So the UConn Huskies win this game. They win 90-75 over the Purdue Boilermakers. Zach Edey had 37 points, but unfortunately not enough as the UConn Huskies win another national title, their back-to-back national title. And for me, like, I think the biggest takeaway from this game for me is that it really didn't matter what Zach Edey did. UConn was just a better team, right? They had better weapons all around. They were just a better team. This is why the games that we've seen got decided the way they did. Like talking about Iowa, South Carolina yesterday, UConn versus Purdue. Iowa had one amazing basketball player, and her name was Caitlin Clark. But the reason why South Carolina is a national champion right now is because when you look at South Carolina, they were the better team. They were the more explosive team. Caitlin Clark did all she could, but it was just not enough to overcome 5 other amazing players on the other side. Same with Zach Edey and Purdue. I said coming into this game, for Purdue to have any sliver of hope to win this game, someone outside of Zach Edey had to step up and had to have a monster game. And sadly, if you look at the box score, Zach Edey had 37 points. He was downright amazing. But when you look at the other team or other players, they didn't do anything. I mean, 5 points, 3 points, like 8 points. Like they had a measly output. That's not going to be enough to beat a team like UConn. That's just not going to be enough because they're just so explosive. They're so well-rounded. Like, you're not going to beat UConn with just having a one-man show in Zach Edey. Purdue or UConn just let Edey do whatever the hell he wanted and then stingily guarded the rest of the players around him, and then they knew that they were going to win because if you just looked at it, it was just everybody on UConn was contributing. Why it was only Edey, and that's it. And that's why UConn ends up winning another national title. Just great offensive game plan by Dan Hurley. Great defensive game plan by Dan Hurley. Forcing Purdue to basically have it be Edey and everybody else. And Edey did all he could. 37 points. He was amazing. You give the ball to him in the paint, and he could do absolutely whatever the hell he wanted. But the other players just didn't step up. Credit to UConn's defense around them. They were tremendous in this basketball game. But that's why UConn is sitting here as a national champion and repeating again, because overall this entire year, they were the better team. They were the more well-rounded team. They were the more explosive team. And, congratulations to Dan Hurley, definitely the best coach right now in college basketball. But we'll get into that on the second segment. But I want to welcome, we have a guest joining us here on our impromptu national championship post-game show. My guy James Gonzalez is joining us right now. James, how are you doing tonight? And hope you enjoyed this national championship game. I know it was kind of a dud in the second half, but how are you doing tonight? And how's it going?
Nothing at all. I hate that question. I hate when people ask that. We know why we're here. We were watching the game. Well, it wasn't much of a game. Let me get right into it. I'm talking about, UConn winning this game. Again, remember last week when I told y'all, or whomever would listen, that UConn men's basketball right now is like the 92 Olympic USA Dream Team with all those NBA players on it? How they win easily. The other team might give them a little push in the first half, but eventually UConn just knows how to win together. They're all on the same track in every game. They're led, by the best coach in the game. Everybody is on the same level on the team, it seems like. They go back to back it's the first time there's a back to back since 2007, since the Gators did it, and then Duke before that in '92. You have to give it definitely up to Dan Hurley. The whole family is great coaches. They know basketball. They're tremendous. And credit to, UConn and all the players for buying in. You see them before the game, Isaiah. They're out here doing these drills. They're doing everything they need to do in sync to be almost perfect. It's amazing when you think about it. Like, you don't see that in any other sports nowadays. You saw it maybe like 30, 40 years ago or whatever the case was. But you don't see that now, where everybody's on the same page. There's no controversy. There's nothing like that at all. There's nothing like that at all. It's amazing. So when I think about it, they're almost like a perfect team the last 2 years. There was never any doubt that they were going to beat them. Credit to Purdue to get there with their coach and Edie. That was just a one-man show. UConn has faced everyone. They faced all different type of players, but they just played their game. They never catered to anybody else, and that's what I love about this team. They left no doubt in my mind what was going to happen, and it was easy to see why they were going to be champions again. It was just simple.
Yeah, James, you hit the nail on the head for sure. I think that was that was my biggest takeaway from this game was, Edie did everything he could possibly do. You cannot criticize or crucify Edie for anything in tonight's game. He did everything he could. But in the end, it really came down to the players around Edie. They didn't step up, and they didn't play well. 8 points, 5 points, 3 points, measly outputs. You cannot have that performances in order to beat a team like UConn. UConn had all these guys, Newton, Samuel. They all showed up. They all played really, really well. And that's, I think, what ended up was the difference in this game. It was the team versus the one-man show, and the team is always going to win at the end of the day. So that's why UConn is sitting here as the back-to-back national champs. I want to welcome my guy Ben Cruz onto the program. His UConn Huskies are back-to-back national champions. They did it, becoming the first team since I believe the 05-06 Florida Gators with Billy Donovan. Go ahead, Jay. Oh, the 05-06 Florida Gators to repeat. Ben, congratulations to your UConn Huskies on winning another national title. And I'm pretty sure the entire state of Connecticut is going to party all week like there's no tomorrow. So go ahead and enjoy it. But how are you doing tonight?
Guys, this means a lot to me. It really does. Obviously I did my show a couple nights ago on Kick with Cruz, and I knew obviously this was going to be a tough game. Purdue obviously is, a very, very good team. But throughout this whole tournament, I knew for a fact I believed in this group. Adversity hit here and there. I know obviously that happened. But if the UConn Huskies played their A game or even close to it, there was not many teams that was going to beat us. And it's still an incredible feeling, man. It really is. For myself to live in Connecticut, to be a UConn fan, going to their basketball camp when I was younger, meeting Jim Calhoun, who's arguably one of the best head coaches of all time, and now Dan Hurley coming into this program, bringing them not only one, but back-to-back champions. Just hearing that just makes me feel so happy. And now for anybody that thinks they're not a blue blood, think again. That's 6 now. 6 natty champs, baby, in like 20, 25 years. That's rare to happen. And, I'm going to be celebrating all week. I'm going to get my merch pretty soon. This is an incredible feeling. It really is.
Yeah, definitely very happy for you for sure. By the way, we do have a lot of comments that are coming in. We have our YouTube fan, new fan, Bama fan. What was the final score? I believe it was 75-60. I know earlier I said 90 to
Yeah.
75, but 75-60 was the final score of that game. And thank you, James, for commenting. 75-60, the final score. I mean, the game was like basically decided. The final like 10 minutes of the game. I know I was just watching it because, number one, I'm a sports fan, and number two, because I had a bet with my guy Stephen Wang. Shout out to you, Stephen. On like if UConn was gonna win by more than 15 points or more. So for Purdue, it kind of got that bet kind of got close because I was like, oh crap, UConn turned it over late with 6 seconds. I was like, oh crap, Purdue is gonna score right here. It's gonna ruin the bet for me, and I'm gonna get shattered. But thanks to UConn with the steal to basically seal it. But yeah, man, congratulations to UConn on winning. Bama fan says sounds like Bama played them just as close as Purdue did.
They did.
Yeah,
Listen, and sorry to cut you off, Isaiah. I'm just a really good feeling right now. Bama played very good against us. And Purdue did really too. I mean, but when I looked at this overall matchup with Purdue and I looked at Bama had the outside shooting. And they went 8 of 11, and UConn was up by 4 after the first half. They just never gave up. They're, like I said, even adversity hit, I trust the guys. And the funny thing is I didn't think they shot great from 3 a lot of this tournament, but they just have so many guys. You look at Tristan Newt, obviously now back-to-back champ, All-American. Donovan Clinton, obviously. He was behind Adama Sanogo last year. Became a center this year, and he obviously is getting another championship. Alex Caravan from last year, getting another national championship. There was a ton of guys from last year, and I knew for a fact this year that on paper we were one of the best teams in college basketball. It's about doing it. And now essentially UConn is now on the map with every other team that is a blue blood. If not now, it is. And like I said, Bama, give them a ton of credit. They're a very good team. I wouldn't be shocked if they go deep next year again. Like I said, I'm going to cherish this because I will never take for granted this moment as a UConn men's basketball fan. This is absolutely incredible. It really, really is. And like I said, I'm going to Fenway tomorrow. So, man, this is going to be a start to a good week for me. It really is.
And I mean, also don't forget the Red Sox signed someone to a massive extension today. The news.
There was an eclipse. There was an extension for Red Sox, and there was UConn winning the Natty Champion. How about that?
Yeah, Ben, you're just on top of the world right now. But in terms of UConn, I mean, Purdue. Listen, they played great, but UConn was just the better team. I mean, I do agree with Bama fan because Bama played them pretty close, but in the end, UConn just pulled away. I mean, this game wasn't a blowout early. It was pretty close. It was a 6-point game at halftime, but UConn was just way too talented, and then they ended up pulling away late. The question I do want to pose to you two is, do we now consider UConn a dynasty? They won 2 national titles now, back-to-back national titles. Is that enough to make them a dynasty? Ben, I'll start with you first. What do you think? Is UConn your home state school? Are they a dynasty now, or do they have more work to do before we could officially label them like the 90s Duke team or, the other great dynasties, whether in college sports or in sports in general?
Yeah, I think they're a dynasty now. I think tonight cemented that 20-25 years, you now have 6 championships. That is an echelon of a lot of the good blue blood schools, whether it's Kentucky, whether it's North Carolina. Essentially this team now is the new standard, like the old really good teams of the past, of course, North Carolina, Kentucky. So yeah, I think it is. Obviously, this is not even myself being a little biased and being a little homer of me, but still, yeah, that deserves it. This UConn team this year is going to be arguably going to go down as one of the best, not only UConn teams of all time, one of the best college basketball teams of all time. They were absolutely steamrolling teams in this tournament. And Dan Hurley was saying before the final, he's just like, we're essentially making this tournament look easy. That is not normal to go all the way through in a single elimination, from the round of 64 to the 32 to Sweet 16 to Elite 8 to Final Four. They're cruising And these were not just like Auburn. No, I'm sorry, Illinois. Very good team. Obviously, the 30-0 run was absolutely insane, right? Final Four, Alabama. Very, very good team. Very sound team. And obviously, Purdue. Zach Edey is arguably the best player in college basketball. They got a very good coach. I just knew in terms of all around the overall, it's a team game. I just knew for a fact with this UConn team, they had it. It was just about doing it because it's one of the things like, they fall short. It's like, all right, you look back, it's like, it's a good team, but you get it done. And yeah, that's a dynasty.
How about you, James? Do you think with UConn winning back-to-back national titles, they just steamrolled everybody like Ben mentioned, is UConn a dynasty, or do they got to win a couple more titles for them to be officially anointed as a dynasty? What do you think?
I think dynasties are hard to come by now, and you could actually like dumb down because the bar of like expectations are lowered nowadays. So dynasty could mean back to back, and then really it's tougher to even win once with all the transfers and the NIL crap, right? So the way that UConn has been able to keep everyone together and be more dominant this year than last year, that's really something. That tells you they're a dynasty, especially if they win next year too. That only solidifies it. But I think they are
next year, man.
Yeah. But it must feel good, Ben, and congrats, by the way. It must feel good. As a fan, I was thinking about this earlier today when the game was kind of getting out of hand. They were up 15 plus. I thought to myself, man, it must feel good to be a UConn fan, knowing that, okay, if you get up by 15 or more, the game's over. But the pressure for the players, for the coaches, to want to exceed in that level and continue to exceed to that level, that's really something. It's amazing to think. It's like there's a confidence there, there's a quiet swagger, but there's a grittiness, there's a toughness, and you love seeing dynasties like that are really refreshingly humble. I think I see that with this UConn team. There's no like one star. It's a whole damn team, and you don't see that nowadays. Like, and that's what I love. And you don't see that in college sports, honestly. You don't see that in professional sports. So UConn is kind of breaking barriers in that way in the world again of all this change with NIL and transfers. They're the lone dynasty in men's college basketball. No matter what anyone else can do or bring to the table, it doesn't beat UConn basketball right now for men's. And they're a dynasty, Isaiah.
For me, when I'm thinking about this question, I'm like, they are a great team. Don't get me wrong. But do we think about the Florida Gators with Billy Donovan as a dynasty? Like, we think about them as a great team, right? They went back to back, but they never won after that. So I think for me, I wouldn't say that they're a dynasty just yet. I would say like, okay, they're a great team. Don't get me wrong. But if they win it next year, definitely, that will solidify it. The argument of the dynasty is not going to be there whatsoever. But I agree with Bama fan. I think that for a dynasty, for you to be a dynasty, to winning back-to-back titles is phenomenal. But if you are to be a dynasty, I think you got to do it for more years and have that longevity of dominance. That's why for me, I wouldn't consider them a dynasty. Because if you consider them a dynasty, then you would have to put the Billy Donovan Florida as a dynasty. And nobody really thinks about them as a dynasty. I think UConn's off to a phenomenal start. But if they win it next year, they'll definitely be a dynasty. Or even get to the Final Four, they'll definitely be a dynasty. Because winning in the NCAA tournament, it's very, very difficult. But I would like to see UConn win at least one more in the next 4 years that I think you can officially call them a dynasty.
Now, Isaiah, really quickly, do you consider UConn though a blue blood? Because that's different.
Yes.
Oh, for sure. I've always considered UConn a blue blood. I think when you look at the blue bloods,
because there's people that don't think that until tonight.
last year I think they solidified it. This year they made it be known even more. Because when I grew up, I knew they were with Ray Allen and the Calhoun teams. So I kind of knew they were. And then of course you had the times where they were out of conference or in a new conference and out of another conference. And then finally they got back to this level. Let me say one more thing before I might go. But with Hurley saying what he said in 2020, didn't he say like you better get us now because we're coming?
So yeah, it's one of the most coolest quotes now ever. It's the team last year. They obviously had a really good start to the year, and I think they actually they had a really good start to the year last year, and then they kind of went a little funk. So like people were kind of starting to doubt a little bit, and it was a game after against Villanova, and he just said, "It's coming." And I'm just like, oh man, I just really hope this ages, and obviously last year, the national championship, it just felt great. But I look at this team from last year, and I was talking to my buddies after they won it last year, and I said, we could do it again this year. Just looking at the overall team, a lot of guys coming back. And I told my dad, I told a lot of people this throughout the year. I said, this team this year is better than the team last year. And that's saying a lot because the team last year was incredible, really good. Obviously, Sonogo, Jordan Hawkins, right? But yeah, this team this year, like I said, it's going to go down as one of the best college basketball teams of all time. And, obviously Donovan Clayton's going to be a very high pick in the draft. Stephon Castle, man, freshman, he's going to be a lottery pick, I think, this year in the draft if he wants to. Tristan Newton, he's probably going to go All-American, absolutely incredible. And like I said, they won by double digits pretty much in all their games of the tournament, and that's just extremely tough to do. So before we go, it's obviously great to be on here, to be in a very good mood. Obviously, like I said, congrats to Purdue. All jokes aside, very good team. Obviously, Zach Edey's going to be a very good player, I think. Like I said to you, Isaiah, though, in our show, and I think I told James this too. I said, UConn's just a better overall team, right, itself against Purdue. They had to get other people to shoot the three ball in order to win, and they just did not get enough from there. In the second half, I knew for a fact that, with about 5 minutes left, I'm like, yep, I can start to feel it. I really can. So it's just incredible. It really, really is. And I appreciate coming on, and go Huskies. And number 6, man, it feels amazing. So it's good to be on. And I'll maybe comment a little bit more because I feel like I'm on cloud 9 right now. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, man, definitely thanks for hopping on, man. Congratulations to your Huskies, and have fun at Fenway tomorrow. I know opening day is going to be special, and man, enjoy Fenway opening day.
Appreciate it, man. All right, take care, guys.
All right, yeah, so let's go to the comment section because we do have a lot of comments. Really appreciate everybody for blowing up the show. I mean, we've had up to 15 live. We've got 15 live viewers at once. We've got a lot of people blowing up. Let's talk about Bama fans. Says I know James wanted to comment on this. He said, "I said after watching y'all beat us last night, that y'all would beat Purdue by at least 10 tonight." James, go ahead.
No, the comment before that where he mentioned you need 3 to 5 championships for a dynasty or what? Yeah, that one, please. I just think it's different now. Like in the NFL, NBA, there's free agency, MLB, and the dynasties we all grew up with or the times before, that might be the case now or back then, right? But now it's harder to keep everyone around because you have that one and done rule. You have the NIL and the transfer stuff. That's why I consider 2 in a row. That's tough to do. No one's done it in college football, right? In a while. I don't think Alabama has in a while.
Alabama do back-to-back? I feel like they did. Bama fan would probably know more than us, but
not recently though, right?
No.
So that's why I'm saying it's just harder to do it, just with all the changes and stuff. More freedom for the players to move around. I know Bama has, but I'm saying I don't think recently they have with the NIL and the transfers and all that. It's just different now. So you have to really take into consideration everything is shorter now. Like your lifespan, your time to be great is shorter just because of everything going against you. If you are a winner, everybody's trying to get at you. Everybody's trying to take you down. And UConn, they just look like a tank, Isaiah. Go on with the rest of the comments.
Yeah. Also, Bama fan, really appreciate you for tuning in and joining us tonight, man. Bama fan is absolutely lighting up the comment section. Really appreciate it. Bama fan also says that he said that UConn is the king of basketball and Bama is the king of football. You know what's interesting, James, is I think UConn right now definitely the king of basketball. I don't know about football because Nick Saban is gone now. It might be a changing of the guard. We don't know. We don't know how Kalen DeBoer is going to do there at Alabama, considering the fact that he has never coached in the South. He's always coached in the West Coast. So you know the transition is going to be different. I would hold off on the Bama as the king of football just because right now Michigan's the national title winner. Georgia's coming, LSU's coming. Like, there's a lot of great teams. So I would hold off on the Bama being the king of football. It's going to be different with no Nick Saban, that's for sure.
And they were. Let me say that. Like, all last decade and decade before with Saban, they were. But now it's kind of like, okay, you know, we're just going to have winners here and there. We're just going to have transfers go wherever it's popular. And that's going to be it, basically. Like, Alabama was, you know, given the fruits of like all the recruits going there. Well, maybe it's different now. Everybody transferring out. That's like the only issue I have. And just think when UConn loses all their players, who knows how they'll recruit? Who knows who they'll get? If anybody wants to go to that program and want to stay multiple years in college, or they'll go somewhere else if they want to go one and done.
No, definitely. Also, Bama fan, he says he is just glad that Bama finally made it to the Final Four. I think that was the first time, right? First time in school history. So, yeah.
I should know that. But it felt like that. Because remember all the years they had Avery Johnson try to get there? I love his accent, dude. When he does the games, I always listen. Avery Johnson. They tried something there. Remember last year they had that draft pick Miller from the he went to Charlotte, I think. They were really trying to get something going. Right, yeah. I think he'd rather be at Alabama right now than the Charlotte Hornets. But they're really building something they've never had before. And then I know it's you don't want to say War Eagle. But it's like, man, the whole state is doing well with basketball. You got UAB that made the tournament, that lost in the first round to San Diego State. Man, it's not becoming a basketball state, but hey, they're becoming successful in that state with college basketball, and I'm all here for it.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I wanted to say, like, yeah, it was the first time Bama got to the Final Four. Yeah, Bama's not been really that good in basketball. They've been all right. They haven't been like, good like the football team. So it's good to see Alabama actually being competitive and being really good in basketball because now you have the football team. Who knows if they'll take a step back, but basketball team, I mean, they're headed in the right direction, definitely. And Nate Oates, by the way, James, is not leaving for Kentucky. He released a statement saying that he's very happy in Alabama. He's going to stay there. So you and I both know those coaches' statements, you can take it with a grain of salt because, sometimes they make these statements and then they definitely just leave and then, they leave and they're gone goodbye. But I don't think it would be smart for Nate Oates, especially if he leaves for sure. But let's get into our next topic and talk about Dan Hurley. We talked about this, I think, on our pre-show call. Is Dan Hurley right now the best coach in college basketball? And James, do you put him, after winning back-to-back national titles, do you put him on a pedestal with guys like a Coach K, Billy Donovan, Roy Williams, all those great coaches that have coached in college basketball. Where do you put him in terms of historical greatness for Dan Hurley? For me, I would probably put him in the same category as Billy Donovan. I think he's a really good coach. But the thing is, like I said, with the whole dynasty thing, you got to do it for a lot longer, right? You got to do it for at least 5, 10 plus years.
Yeah.
I think Hurley's a great coach, but I definitely wouldn't put him in the category of Coach K. Definitely would not put him in the category of Roy Williams, because Roy Williams had 3 championships in what, like 20, 30 years. Is he better than Boeheim? I probably would say he is.
No, not.
I mean, if you go by championships, though, Boeheim only won 1. Bama fan says. Bama fan says absolutely he is. Bama fan, go ahead and comment and clarify that. Is he better than Coach K? Is he better than Billy Donovan? Is he? But
see, that's what I mean, Isaiah. That's what I mean. Like, okay, things are getting done faster, so you're putting them on a pedestal so much faster. It's like we're not appreciating all the guys like Boeheim and Roy Williams, Self, K, who coached at one place for so damn long. We're just looking over that. That's what I don't want to do. That's how I would see this.
Sorry about that. I was on mute. But for Hurley's legacy, though, James, for Hurley's legacy, where
it's only starting.
So is he the best coach right now in college basketball? I think we both can agree he is.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that there's really anybody that's better than him. And don't you dare say John Calipari just to show me.
Well, I think Calipari's better just because he's been around longer.
Yeah.
He's won. But I just like how this Hurley thing, it feels organic. It doesn't feel bought. It doesn't feel like anything was just put together, in 1 year. They literally built this from the ground up, it seems like. So I don't think he's one of the best. He's not like John Wooden. No. He's not Adolph Russell. He's not
Coach K.
Coach K. He's not Dean Smith. He's not Roy Williams. If you start to get like if you get to 4 championships, that's when I think you start to say, hey, he's starting to get up there with Williams and Self, and then you're starting to get up. He's probably. No. See, I don't want to do that. I want to wait till his career is over before I start to like really get into that, I think it's a disservice to Hurley because he's only just beginning this, flight up.
Yeah.
So yeah. I just don't want to do that to him.
How about Billy?
Billy Donovan?
Yeah. Because the thing with Billy Donovan is like he did win 2 titles, right? He won back-to-back. But the problem is he kind of flamed out at the end, and then he headed to the NBA. So I think if you judge Hurley on how great he is, I would probably say he's Billy Donovan, because Billy Donovan went back-to-back, and then Billy Donovan went back-to-back, and he kind of did it in like a short span. So I would probably say like he's kind of where Billy Donovan was when he was at Florida.
But I don't want him to go professional. I don't want Hurley to go professional. If he does that, that'll ruin what he's done right now. So that's the only thing. I don't want him to ruin what he's got going right now. And what he has going is a pot of gold that is unheard of nowadays. That's basically it.
Oh, definitely. Like he's built UConn from the ground up. They were a mess before he got there. He got there, completely changed the culture, and now they're definitely the best team in college basketball, no doubt about that. But it's been great to talk about UConn, but let's talk about the whole tournament in general, right? As this is our last March Madness extravaganza of the year before we shelve it, and then we go to it again next season. Biggest takeaway from March Madness 2024, James. I'll go first on this. I think the biggest takeaway for me is honestly, this might be a very controversial statement, but you guys know on this show, we're not gonna sugarcoat anything. We're just gonna, go straight to the point. Um, I think my biggest takeaway is definitely that this March Madness, James, was kind of a bit of a disappointment. It was a lot of top teams, top heavy, not a lot of upsets, not a lot of great stories. In this tournament, yes, you did have, Oakland beating Kentucky, but that only lasted for one round. You didn't have like the VCUs or the Butlers of the past, or the St. Bonaventures, or the Loyola Marymount Chicago's. Like, you didn't really have that like true Cinderella story, and I think that's kind of why it really did not make this tournament really that exciting. And then you look at the Final Four and you look at the finals tonight. I mean, it was just blowout, 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 blowout. It just wasn't as exciting as it was before. So that's probably one of my biggest takeaways of this tournament, is that it wasn't that exciting as it was in the past. Don't get me wrong, it was still a great tournament. It just wasn't as exciting as it was in the past. And then I think the second biggest takeaway that I have is that, sadly, James, I think the old guard is, we kind of thought like in the past, okay, the old guard, they're shifting away from college, away from being the greatness in college basketball. I think they're completely gone now, because when you look at guys like Calipari and others that have just been like, okay, we're just going to recruit and we're going to get the best talent and we're going to just win, and Bill Self as well. You look at it now. I mean, it's about Hurley. It's about, Nate Oates. Like, it's about those guys. Like, those guys have taken the baton away from like the old guards like Calipari and others, and they're the ones that are thriving now in college basketball. And the three-point shooting, James, I feel like is a big part of college basketball. Like, if you think about like Alabama, why they had so much success, because they shot the ball so damn good. Iowa, why they were in the finals, because of Caitlin Clark. UConn didn't shoot extremely well in this tournament, but I mean, they're not a bad shooting team. And that's why, like, basketball definitely is moving more towards a three-point shot. Which, James and I are old school. Like, we like the big man in the post. Like that's why I like Edie's game a lot. Like, I don't know about you, James, but I like Edie's game a lot, where he takes the ball back down and then makes the little baby hook. Like, that's why I like his game a lot. But sadly, it's trending more towards the NBA, and I think that's kind of, it's kind of a little bittersweet. But yeah, the old guard has changed, and now it's Dan Hurley and Nate Oates that are running college basketball. Well, James, what are your biggest takeaways from this tournament?
Okay, didn't it seem like today, unfortunately, that Edie missed a lot of like jump hooks inside? He was really getting banged as well. But he could have had I think he could have had even more points tonight inside. Yeah, other from the Final Four, which luckily I didn't watch because I was at baseball games all weekend. I disagree with you so damn much. The tournament, for the most part, was amazing. I look at how many upsets there were and how fast brackets were busted, and I just look at complete chaos of it all. That was kind of fun for me, because you don't get that in any other sport, honestly. So I loved it. I loved pretty much all of it, even though you kind of knew UConn was going to go and Purdue was not going to let a 16 beat them this year. You knew they were out for revenge, so you knew those two were going to be there. But man, you were talking about how there was no Cinderella. Look at NC State. First of all, they had to win 5 elimination games in 5 days to get in. New Mexico did the same thing, by the way, in the Mountain West tournament to knock out San Diego State for the Mountain West Championship. I was watching that so greatly. The announcers are great there for CBS and CBS Sports. So I look at those two teams. New Mexico, even though they lost in the first round, it was Eddie House's son that got him in, basically. That was fun to see, at least out here on the West Coast. And then you had NC State, man. Again, they had to win 9 elimination games to get to the Final Four. No one does that. It's amazing to see that. They almost had not a George Mason run, but like I'm trying to think of someone who did that. But NC State, you saw a star kind of rise or a fun star rise with DJ Burns Jr. Like I didn't know who the hell he was, but he's out here.
Me
We were
either.
talking about the post game that he had, and he was just out here spin moving, making jump hooks and tremendous shots. When they beat Duke, I was so damn happy because I was afraid, and I had Duke going to the Final Four, but NC State got in the way of that, luckily. But I just think that was a great thing. You had, let's see, Yale beat Auburn. I think that was an amazing amazing game there. Let's see. Who else? Grand Canyon, I thought was going to make a big run, but Alabama got in the way of that.
Ooh,
But that was trouble. So all the the underdogs, all the upsets, I really loved, and that's what March Madness is all about.
Oakland.
Yeah, Oakland winning that thing, and then you had there was one more I was going to mention that was out of nowhere.
Oregon.
No, James Madison over Wisconsin.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
I was for James Madison so hard, but you knew eventually they were going to run into Duke, and then Duke beating Houston. You just knew Houston was never serious to make a run to the Final Four. That one seed was a fraud seed, to be honest with you. And Ben here has a comment.
Yeah, Ben says, thanks guys for having me on. Man, I'm asleep amazing tonight. I was mad nervous all day for this moment. Ben, congratulations, man, and definitely party all night, party all day, party all week, man. It's gonna be, you guys definitely deserve it. Before we get into Ben's last comment, that's gonna be perfect segue to our last segment of the night. James, I do agree with what you're saying. I don't think you're wrong, but I just think that we just didn't have that team. I mean, maybe NC State was that team.
NC State was the team,
but we didn't have that team that school, the mid major that you're just like, whoa, they go from you don't know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, so what? NC State went long enough. I'm okay with that.
But you know what? It was a pretty good tournament. Congratulations to UConn on winning another national title. I don't know who's going to stop UConn. We'll see. Maybe some players are definitely going to be going to the NBA. So we may not see UConn's dominance like we did last season. But it's going to be crazy to see what happens next year in regards to this tournament. I know we have some coaching changes that are going to shake up college basketball. Maybe those guys can build their programs up in 1 year, and maybe they can get back into the swing of things and dominate in March Madness. We'll see. But let's get into our last topic for the night. Ben's comment is, y'all think Dan Hurley stays or he goes? It's a perfect segue to our last segment of the night, and that is, oh, man, James, John Calipari, being the snake oil salesman that he is, steals the spotlight from this game. And on the eve of the game, he apparently agreed to a deal with Arkansas. Arkansas? Really? And John Calipari is heading to Arkansas. Today it got weird because he was supposed to have a team meeting, and then all of a sudden it got canceled, and then there were rumors about him maybe not wanting to take the job. Fill us in on the backstory of that, James.
Oh yeah, so we all know yesterday that Calipari, said, yeah, I'm going to go to Arkansas for basketball. What? Oh, not football, basketball. Huh, okay, that's weird. They must have a lot of money they offered him. So, yeah, that was amazing. And then this morning, I believe there was a little second thought happening with Calipari, thinking like, okay, I know I kind of burned every bridge at Kentucky in a way, saying I would leave, but I'm having second thoughts. I've had my way here. No, we haven't been successful as much, but I believe if I continue to do what I want to do, we'll win. Well, guess what? The AD did not want to go through with that. He wanted, someone to monitor, or he wanted that AD wanted to monitor Calipari and get him to do better in a way, get him to stop doing whatever he's been doing and change his ways. Calipari has never been that way, by the way. He's always done things his way, and now he's going to go to Arkansas in the same conference, the SEC, and just try to do what he did at Kentucky at Arkansas, but I just don't see it working out. The the deal, the contents of the deal, I don't think are out yet, right?
It is not, but I've been hearing that it's going to be a 5-year contract. And it's reported. Well, some reporters have said it's going to be $8 million a year, but he's going to get all the power when it comes to running the basketball team, and also he's going to have NIL money in excess of $10 million per year to spend, and also some other reporters have been saying it's going to be a 5-year deal in $15 million a year, which I think is egregious. It's way too much, but it's going to be a 5-year deal, but we just don't know how much per year. And he's definitely going to have all the power, because you're not leaving Kentucky for Arkansas if he's not getting all the power. So it's going to be a crazy deal. But those are where we are right now when it comes to the John Calipari negotiations.
Isaiah, let me mention this. This feels like Arkansas is looking for God or Jesus, whomever, right? To say, hey, turn my water into wine. Whatever you did at Kentucky, bring that over to Alabama. We're still in the Bible Belt area, and I think that's what Arkansas is trying to do. I just don't see it working. I just don't know why. Isaiah, I'm just flabbergasted by it, honestly.
Honestly, let me tell you this, James. This reminds me, you remember when Jimbo Fisher won a national title at FSU, and Jimbo Fisher left FSU because FSU was not winning. There was a lot of turmoil, and he went to Texas A&M, and everybody is like, what? You're turning down LSU? You're going to go to Texas A&M? Well, you know why he went to Texas A&M is because he got a 10-year $75 million deal to go to Texas, $75 million deal, 10-year deal, which at that time was the largest contract in college football history. Well, James, it also reminds me of, remember Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame for LSU, 10 years, $100 million deal. This reminds me of that. John Calipari, let's face it, Arkansas is nowhere near the same brand as Kentucky, but he's only leaving because, number one, he's going to get stripped of the power that he had at Kentucky if he stays. He probably was given an ultimatum saying, hey, if you don't win a national championship next year, you're going to be gone. And also, like you talked about this when you had your statement that John Calipari, they were going to hire someone to govern John Calipari. It's like you're hiring someone to govern Coach K or govern some big name Hall of Fame legendary coach. And John Calipari was never, ever, ever, ever going to do that. So I think that like John Calipari decided, you know what, I want out. I want out. I want the job that is the job, like the whatever job opens up, I want out, I'll take it. And they're going to give him all the power. Like you mentioned, they're looking for God to save their program. That's why they're going to offer him whatever the hell he wants. They're going to give him all the power to do whatever the hell he wants. They're going to give him as much NIL money as he wants to come. But let me tell you this, James, you and I both know this is going to end up disappointing massively, because we both know John Calipari is not a great coach. This guy's a great recruiter, but he can't coach. He is one of the biggest finaglers of money that we've seen in college sports. And he's won one national title despite having constant NBA talent year in and year out. So I agree. I don't think that this is going to work out. I think that this is what I think, James. I think that he could lead Arkansas to the NCAA tournament, maybe lead them to the Final Four, and they will consider that a success, given the fact that Arkansas has never really done anything in basketball, kind of like what Alabama was. So that might be like success to them. But if you're paying a coach 5 years, $15 million per year, you expect national titles, not Final Four appearances.
Yeah, man. I'm just shocked as hell, and I don't even know why. I guess because you thought it was gonna be a thing, and I didn't want it to be a thing. I guess that's why I'm kind of disappointed by it, and then also just the reason why it happened. He could have gone anywhere else, but man, Arkansas. I'm just shocked as hell, and I'm just wondering how he'll recruit. In the here in the off season, it's gonna be something. Maybe there's a shift of power in the SEC for basketball. Hopefully, there's some power going down there instead of because how the Pac-12 is gone. There's all those schools are going. 4 schools are going to the Big Ten. Are you going to take some of those players maybe to go to the SEC? We'll have to see about that. I know Bronny James is in the transfer portal. Maybe he's
Bronny
Calipari's first transfer.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yes.
LeBron likes Calipari though. They have a relationship. Remember that.
And that's a whole nother story, with Bronny James, where it's like, oh, he can easily make the draft this year. No, he can't. He literally needs 1 year where he is literally the man on the team, literally, right? Where he has to be forced to do everything, and maybe they have that in Arkansas with Calipari if he's there. What was that comment? Let's read that.
Yeah, it's from another Uconn fan, Luis Marquez. Appreciate you for tuning in. Luis, if you like what you're hearing, man, subscribe to our channel. We pump out great sports content almost every day. So make sure you, like and subscribe and tune into other, we talk college basketball, NBA, NFL, MLB, etc., like even NHL sometimes as well. So if you like it, go ahead and subscribe. Luis says, UConn is my hometown team, and after Seton Hall, they're my favorites. I'm so proud they hired a Jersey boy and Seton Hall player as head coach, Dan Hurley. Yeah, I mean,
they needed that.
They needed that fresh blood, right?
Someone who knows the area, knows the program. I want them to, and they got screwed this year. Seton Hall, they should have made the tournament along with Indiana State. I know they went on to, that too. I think Indiana State beat Seton Hall in the NIT championship, I want to say. I can't recall. But that was a high-spirited game at the University of Butler.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But yeah, back to Calipari in Kentucky. We both don't think it's going to work. And also, like, for all that power, it's not going to – definitely, I don't think it's going to work out. But, James, you mentioned earlier about how Calipari was having some second thoughts about committing to Arkansas. Maybe he realized, oh, it's freaking Arkansas. Like, why do you want to go there and take a step down? Here's the thing. I read his contract. In his contract, he has to tell UConn or Kentucky when he first enters into talks that he's talking with that team. Apparently, he did not tell Kentucky that he was negotiating with Arkansas. So that actually violated his contract. So in theory, if he goes back to Kentucky, Kentucky could fire him with cause and not pay that $30 million buyout, which I think, James, was the big stickler of why he actually stayed in the first place. Is because of that massive buyout. But, James, we talked about this on the phone. Do you think if Calipari has second thoughts and decides he wants to go back, would Kentucky even want him back?
Man, this seems like a hey, I didn't mean it. No. I didn't mean to go talk to them. I was just seeing what I was worth. You know I want to be here. And now he's screwed. It's too late. He's got to go. It's too late, dude.
He's got to go. I don't think even if he went back, they would accept him. And the fan base is already pissed as hell that he lost to Oakland, for goodness sakes. They don't want him back. So if he comes back, I think they're going to fire him with cause, and he's going to be gone either way. So sorry, Calipari, you might as well just take that the Arkansas job. You should have waited. Maybe if Michigan had opened up, you could have tried to contact them. Ohio State, you could have had. I mean, I think there was a report actually, James, that Calipari reached out to Ohio State to express interest in the job, but Ohio State didn't want it. So that's pretty interesting. Maybe the Clippers, if they open up, if Ty Lue ends up getting fired, maybe.
No.
But let's get into the last. Let's stick with get moving away from Calipari, but to Kentucky. This is Kentucky basketball we're talking about. Kentucky basketball is like Alabama football. It's like Michigan football, Ohio State football. It's like one of these big preeminent brands that you're just like, man, like they can get anybody at any price, man. They can just get anybody. So this is where Ben's comment comes into play. Y'all think Hurley stays or go? Because there's reports that with Calipari gone, that Kentucky could pursue Dan Hurley, give him as much money as he wants. And also there's reports with Nate Oates staying that Scott Drew could be in play, Billy Donovan could be in play. Other candidates also could be in play as well. I know some Kentucky fans, James, and I know you don't want to hear this because some Kentucky fans were talking about Bob Huggins and Rick Pitino as well. So maybe they could be in play. But James, who are some candidates that you think, after today's recent developments with Oates staying, that could replace Calipari as the head coach of Kentucky? And do you think Hurley stays or goes?
Well, don't confuse me. So I'll go with Hurley staying. And then for the Kentucky job, as I mentioned earlier to you, I have an odd feeling Scott Drew is going to go there. And then probably I'll go Pitino second. And then who was the third guy you mentioned?
Bob Huggins was one of them.
I don't see Bob Huggins. I don't think he'll get another coaching job. I just don't see that.
Oh, the other guys were Billy Donovan. There's reports that NBA coaches have expressed interest. He played at Kentucky, remember?
That's my number one. And then Scott Drew.
Sean Miller, former coach of Arizona, was mentioned, but he's had a lot of off-the-court problems. Yeah. Bruce Pearl is another one.
No, Bruce is going to stay at Auburn. Nope.
Bruce has too much baggage, I feel like.
That too. They got like a real someone that was at the program before. So Donovan just screams Kentucky, and if there's a layoff because of the NBA play-in tournament, then you'll know it's like, hey, they're going after Donovan. But if they hire someone right away, or if there's rumors right away, then they're not going to hire Donovan. Remember, they got to wait till the Bull season is over.
That could be over next week.
I hope it is. Nobody wants to see this Bulls team play.
Nobody wants to see the Bulls play the Celtics in the first round. Please
I just don't want to see the Bulls or the Hawks play ever again.
Oh, I'm with you there. But so James, do you think Kentucky needs to hire if you're going to go profile of a coach? You're going to go big name, you're going to go young coach, fresh blood out of the Kentucky brand. Like who do you think is like fits the profile of coach that you think Kentucky should hire?
I think they should be like UConn and get Donovan. I really do. I think in that way it's like, hey, everybody will respect Donovan when he walks through that door, because he'll be fresh, but he was part of that program like you mentioned. So I think I would rather go with Donovan than just someone from the outside. Even though Donovan, he hasn't coached with Kentucky, but like you mentioned, he played there. I think that kind of speaks volumes. And you always see that sometimes, like any league or whatever, a player from that university or that team can come back and coach or at least consult, right? So I could see that really, really happening. But I just have this weird feeling they're going to go with like the hottest name they can get. That would be their plan B, right? But yeah, I like the Donovans. I would really like that if Donovan went there. I think he needs to go back to college and stay in college. And what place would you rather be than a blue blood school that's trying to make their way back than Kentucky for Donovan?
And Kentucky, the thing with Kentucky is Kentucky will draw itself, right? Like you don't have to be like, hey, you want to play for Kentucky? Like Kentucky will draw itself. It's Kentucky basketball we're talking about. So like they will draw themselves. They have NIL money to spend. Like they'll give out a big contract to whoever's the next coach. So they have a lot of money. They've got a lot of resources. So whoever gets hired at Kentucky, I think that he's going to be walking into an absolutely enviable position there. For me, James, I like the choices that you named. I think for Kentucky, number one, I think Dan Hurley, this is 50-50 because, like, it's Kentucky basketball. Like, it's like Alabama football could have gotten anybody to replace Nick Saban. They could have gotten Dabble. They could have gotten anybody, and they would have said yes because it's Alabama. Like, this is Kentucky we're talking about. So, and this type of job rarely opens up. So, I think for me, it's 50-50. Like, I could see Hurley being like, okay, I won 2 national titles there, but it's Kentucky. I might as well take the job there where I can build like a dynasty there. I could see it, but I think the likelihood is that he stays at UConn because UConn's a blue blood, right? Like UConn's a blue blood. I just don't know if he'll leave after winning a national title, back-to-back natties. In terms of the other candidates that I would consider, Billy Donovan, I think, would be perfect because he played there. He would have like tremendous amount of resources to do whatever he wants. He would have all the power. He doesn't have to listen to a GM. He can build his roster the way he wants. I think Billy Donovan would be a great hire for Kentucky, and I think he would win multiple national titles if that's the case because he's a really good coach. Other coaches, I would go with is besides Hurley and Donovan. You know what, James? I'm gonna throw a couple NBA coaches and then a couple college coaches. I don't know Pitino because Pitino's got so much baggage. Like, does Kentucky really want to deal with that crap again? I don't know. Jay Wright isn't one I would pursue, even though I did. Did he say something today on the air?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Jay
didn't
Wright.
hear you.
Didn't Jay Wright say something on the air today?
Okay, yeah. So I forget the insider who's usually on the Candace Parker's side of the pre and post game shows during March Madness, but he kind of egged Jay Wright on to say, "Hey, that Kentucky job is open. Maybe would you want to do it?" And right away, Jay Wright said, "No, I'm not interested in coming back to coach anywhere." And even Kenny Smith, just for fun, is like, "Hey, I call you coach, and wherever you go, I'll go. So if you go to Kentucky, well, guess what? I'm going to Kentucky with you." So you could just tell how much Jay Wright, over the last couple of years, I believe, has loved doing the analyzing instead of the, taking years off your life coaching. I think that's been really good for him. But never say never. At least for this year, no. But never say never.
Exactly. Other candidates, I would consider Todd Golden, the head coach of Florida. I think he's the next bright, amazing coach. I think that he would be great because he's a great, young coach, up and comer. He's young. He's got a really innovative offense. So I think he fits kind of the mold of Hurley. Remember when Hurley was first hired at UConn, it was like up and comer, young coach. Like I think that kind of fits the profile there. And then in terms of the NBA, call me crazy, James, Eric Spoelstra. If the Miami Heat flame out again if they flame out in the first round, I would give them a call because Kentucky is different than the rest of the college basketball jobs. Like this is Kentucky you're talking about. Like Spoelstra doesn't have to listen to Pat Riley. He can build a roster however he wants. He'll get probably if he gets hired, he'll get $20-30 million a year just to coach at Kentucky. Like and he could win easier, I feel like, in the NCAA than in the NBA. So I would say Spoelstra. And then here's another crazy one, James. Frank Vogel of the Phoenix Suns. Because the thing is, Vogel played at Kentucky. He played under Rick Pitino at Kentucky. He knows that Kentucky program. And if you're Vogel, I think Vogel should seriously consider it, just because if Phoenix is such a tumultuous situation where Durant could leave next year. If you don't make the playoffs this year, you're probably going to be fired. You'll have longer job security at Kentucky. You have probably a bigger contract. And also, you have all the power that you want. You can, you can build the roster the way you want, transfer portal, recruits, who knows? And also Frank Vogel is a really good culture creator. And also, who would not want to play for Frank Vogel if he just shows them his championship ring? People want to get to the NBA. So he'll just be like, hey, look, I have a ring. I know how to get to the NBA, and I know how to get you to play at a high level in the NBA. I mean, it would be a perfect recruiting pitch, and he would not be in a tumultuous situation like he is in Phoenix, where it's every year it's is Vogel going to get fired? Is Vogel going to get fired? Is Vogel getting fired this year? Who knows?
I'm not even going to constitute your NBA picks with the response. Move on.
Vogel's not even that bad though. Come on, man.
No.
And then one last one, Juwan Howard. I think Juwan Howard would be a great candidate for that job. But James, do you have anything else to add before we call it a night?
No, you ruined it. Congrats to UConn. Congrats to UConn going back to back like we all knew they would.
Yes.
From the tournament. I think I got that right. I think I had them against Arizona, and they lost in the Sweet 16, Elite 8. I can't remember when, but that was also another upset because I thought Arizona was going to learn their lesson. Whoops. Congrats to UConn, and who cares who the Kentucky coach is? So they're on the down spiral right now. They're trying to get to where UConn is. That's all I know.
Congratulations to UConn. I picked UConn to get upset by Stetson in the first round. So, that bracket is definitely going to be burning tonight. It's definitely probably one of the worst brackets. Might be the worst bracket of all time, James, right? That might be the worst bracket of all time. Who knows? But it's been a great show. But, folks, it is time to head into tonight's final thoughts. Well, it looks like we don't have the video on here. So, James, we will go to you first. What is your final thoughts for tonight's program?
What I said earlier. Congrats to UConn. Bye.
Congratulations to UConn on winning back-to-back national titles. It was a great March Madness tournament. Man. Hopefully we could do it again next year, man, but maybe a different champion, who knows. But congratulations to Dan Hurley and UConn, one of the best runs we've seen in the modern day era of college basketball. Congrats to Purdue on a great season. Zach Edey's a beast. Hopefully he gets picked in the NBA draft. But yeah, man, it's been a great show. We had so much viewers tuning in tonight.
Thank you.
Yes, we had Luis, Bama fan, Ben, appreciate you for hopping on. Congratulations to you, Christy Wilson. I mean, we had so many viewers tuning in. We were up to I think 17 live viewers at one point. So appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. We still have 6 people tuning in right now. So if you guys like what you guys saw, tune into the IM6 Sports Network, the MI6 Sports Network. We got great content coming out every week. We may be doing a baseball show on Wednesday. Who knows? But we'll see. But I got to go to the Giants game tomorrow, so I'm absolutely dreading it. But it's been a great show. James, any announcements on your end?
Look for me on Halos the Infield for all your Angels baseball coverage. Why? I don't know why you would. Shohei Ohtani is not an Angel anymore. But just for fun, to brag on Anthony Rendon, you can do it there all you want. Just keep it PG. Bye.
Definitely. Keep it PG. Tune into Halos in the Infield. Me and James I know James got to go to a baseball game on Wednesday. I got to go tomorrow. We're both dreading it. So, I mean, it's like people want to go to games, but we don't want to go to these games. So, but we got to go. But it's been a great, self-inflicted wounds. It's been a great show. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Congratulations once again to the 2024 college basketball national champion UConn Huskies. It's been fun. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you guys again soon. But congratulations, UConn.
Better shooting range. There's the pass to Leitner. Puts it up.
With Archie Diacono. 3 seconds at midcourt. Gives it to Jenkins for the championship. Have not won. Davis. Close out this rock. Close out. Got that quick. Look at this set.
Seed in the South, up 13 points in complete command.
So close, sneaky